Good morning, everybody. Um, if you've been hanging out with me the last couple of days, I've just been doing some plugging in wires and playing my records and doing some music sampling and creative things while I've been healing from my surgery. And one of those people that have been encouraging this and pushing me to move forward is Dorothy Auger, and she's joining me today. And just hang out with us. We may make some music, we may write some poetry, or we may just chat or whatever is available. We're just trying to have a wonderful Tuesday and let you have a little peek into our lives. So welcome, Dorothy.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
We were hitting the button at the same time.
All right.
It's so great to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. We did for a lot of people that don't know, we did this procrastination. I called it procrastination station in my schedule, and just the coming together and just airing what do you want to do and what's coming is so helpful. And one of the things you've seen me kind of put off for a long time was doing my stuff. And so that's what this is. And so first of all, Gayla Kasla, thank you for being a wonderful friend, for being, really a mentor and just an all around awesome friend and good person. So thanks for doing this with me. This is so fun.
Yeah, no, thank you. I want to thank you because I've learned so much from you, and you've encouraged me to sort of go out there, do some stuff, crazy things. Go on the first live LinkedIn show, and then host mine, and or it's not really a show, but get some episodes and just basically goof around and learn from that playful experimentation that you can do. And so when you have been talking about doing the music live, I thought that was a really wonderful idea, and I've been wanting to do something with you and sit in the back, in the front, and maybe write some poems or some songs or something like that. So I'm really grateful to be here tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we also are inviting everyone to sort of goof around with us, whoever is online. And we haven't announced it because we just wanted to do something and see what happens. But whoever is there is welcome to join us.
So the people you did invite, what did you explain we were doing?
Well, I just said I was doing that. I didn't necessarily invite them, but I said, hey, I'm going to be on LinkedIn Live with my friend Diru, and he's going to play some music he's been doing for a couple of nights. And then I'll be writing poetry, and maybe, Diru will be writing poetry. And I have this sort of and just live, not knowing what's going to happen, if there is going to be a poem or not. So
Right.
So there's no outcome expected, and even if it's like if there is no poetry that comes out or nothing that comes out of our conversation, which I would doubt, but then the process would be interesting to look into what happens when you don't have ideas, right? What happens when you're supposed to be writing or doing something and nothing happens, or what happens when it does happen. And yeah, so that's what I told them today, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. To also, I have been to a couple of workshops and organized a couple of workshops recently, and there's a couple of ideas that came through as well. So I want to apply them here in public and see what happens with that.
Yeah. What was the last workshop you did?
The last one I did was this Saturday with a group of wonderful people, and we worked on the topic of "We Shall Stand for Love." And it was incredible because in 3 hours and a half, I think we each wrote 5 poems. Whoa. Or 5 parts of a poem that gets a bigger one. So. I've been accused of not announcing to people who are joining my workshops to bring some Kleenex with them, because there's always a very tearful moment. So So, by this, everyone is warned when they come to my poetry workshop to have some Kleenex with you.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely.
because yeah, yes, yeah, it was a wonderful thing. In fact, Jessica was on the workshop. She shared some of that experience with a very, very um, honest story. She told about how what her journey in the last couple of weeks and months, and she shared a poem that she wrote on Saturday, and then she wrote one this morning as well before that show, and so that's how she got to do that show. So that was a really wonderful Jessica Dugas. So
Mhm.
please have a look if you want to see what she's done there. Beautiful. Yeah.
She's a super cool person. I don't know if I've told you that we finally did connect. Thank you for the introduction. And, coming out of my surgery, she sent me this little picture while she was just driving around. Did I tell you about this? In
No.
Alabama. And it's a place called Muscle Shoals, right, where she is. And it's one of the, um, like, it's just a hot pot of some of the most amazing creativity that's come out of, I'd say, the United States.
Wow.
Um, and if you go back, and there's some documentaries on it, and there's three musicians or four men that were in the background, and they were just background musicians, and they played with everybody you can think of: Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, um, but then a lot of blues musicians, and that was just their thing. And it's just the only reason. I'm not saying the only reason, but my draw to ever visit Alabama would be to
Yeah.
visit that. I'm not saying there aren't other parts of the state. I just don't know enough about it. One interesting thing in Alabama that's I learned after talking to her also was the natives there have those mounds that you can see from quite high, and there's these different ceremonial mounds, and so that's so wild,
Yeah.
that a native, a lot of people think Native American on the United States peninsula are kind of all the same and related, but it's as different as Brussels is from Mattawa, the little town I'm in right now, and the people and what they ate, what they wear, how they acted, all those things. And so I've just that was really neat. And she had me digging in this book. I have it right here that I've had for a long time. Where's my camera? Through Indian Eyes. And
Right. Yeah.
if anybody's interested in Native American and Aboriginal history, this is like the more of a correct display, and it honors the people all the way back, 10,000, 20,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's more of a coffee table book, but it comes with, look at some of these photos and paintings you see,
Wow.
you know, um, and so
Lift,
I've
lift
really,
it up, lift it up a bit, the book. Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's
it really
incredible.
talks about the locations where they were and the whys about what they did and the wars and the trading and, um, yeah, it's just interesting. So when she was talking about it, I went right to this and read a bunch about those people, and I think the thing that caught me off guard was, wow, these people are so different than me. I
Mm,
mean, or so different than a lot of other native populations.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting thing to realize is that we are both I mean, we are all very similar. We are all human with a beating heart, and dreams and desires, but then we have different cultures. And within our culture there are different cultures as well and different ways of doing things.
Mhm.
So that's something to pay attention to. I just sent a message to Jessica. Maybe she will she will see that on time. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, it was really wonderful to hear her and to be able to share um, through the differences and to connect, with creativity or with emotions or with the stories that we have. That's something that I find very, very valuable,
Yeah,
and we don't do that enough.
definitely.
There's anthropologist Margaret Mead.
Mm,
She says, I don't know exactly the quote, but it's something like we cannot hate um, people whose stories we know, right? So once you know someone's story, there's a connection that's made because you get to see them as in their
mm,
humanity, and you become touched by what they are going through. So,
definitely.
yeah,
That I mean, even that's applicable to today. Where um, I, as soon as you said that, reminded me of conversations I'm having with my son to try to allow that space. Try to put yourself in that. Why are they reacting this way? Why this? Why that? Um, and especially for him to see me in that way, so that when I
yeah,
overreact and I'm an ass to him, he can then go, "Oh, he's just being an ass. That's part of life. I don't have to take that." And when he's saying that, and I walked him back all the way through, it's like, okay, dad might be in pain. Dad might have some stress stuff, and he's not great at dealing with stress. Did he meditate today? Maybe not. And maybe he just overloaded on me because he's a mess.
yeah,
And I walked him through that conversation in his head, and he was just like, I really like that. Um, and if we all could operate like that, like knowing another person's story or imagining that, even if it's not the best case scenario, that, I mean, I've been beat up and robbed and all kinds of things, right? But in my past and my hurt and my lows, I've done those things to people.
mhm,
And so it's easy for me to go back and, people, especially you see it with the older demographics going, these damn kids these days. And like,
yeah,
but we're always those kids. I was doing shenanigans just like everybody else is at that age. And the only thing is now they're on surveillance.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I was at poetry slam events on Friday,
Mm,
an open mic, and it was really wonderful, amazing to see really young people, especially young women. Actually, they were who express and affirm who they are and what they accept and what they don't accept, and the bravery they have. So that gives me a lot of hope that maybe we may have similar conversations in the future, but it's going to be quite different as well, because there's so much that's more awareness, I guess, and more resources as well in the world because we have
mhm.
access to internet, and yeah, so I have a lot of hope that especially if the older people like us become elders, or can um, share some of the experience we have acquired and some of the wisdom we've acquired, that we can also support change in the world.
Definitely.
So
And you hit my hot button, and that's affecting the youth, because I think that's the only way to affect change. I mean, not that anybody can't turn a leaf and change, but I see that. I don't know what it's like on your side of the water, but we have a very hurting population of young people,
yeah,
and it was why we decided to unschool Thomas and go into um, maybe more emotional work, spending more time outside, doing things in um, that I value, not what other people value. And I think we don't teach our youth how to value what they value. They
mm,
value what other people value, and they're inundated with thoughts and ideas about what they should value, right?
yeah.
Oh no, who is
We
this?
have the best one of all,
Oh, troublemaker. Are you still
Kenny.
kicked off
Kenny,
LinkedIn? We love
we
you,
want to
Kenny.
hear some music.
Kenny and I spent I don't even know, 2 hours talking the other day, and we talked a lot about music, and I can't wait for the day he and I know will create music very soon. And I don't mean there's no joke about that. Uh, as I've gotten to know Kenny, and as I've gotten to know you, Dorothy, right? You were almost a little timid with the ukulele, and now you're on the keys. You're like doing you're in it, and it's not as intimidating. And that's what everyone has to start back there, including me. And, Two long hours. That's true. For you, anyways. It was a breeze for me. Kenny.
So
He's the
Kenny,
he's the greatest Kenny in the world. Did you know that?
yeah.
He has a certification and a hat. Um,
And he's the one who gets banned and and can come back on LinkedIn over and over again. So I don't know how many lives he has.
he's banned right now. He's in
Oh,
he's
okay.
in purgatory. That's why you see
Is he
the YouTube logo next to his K and no picture. And
right?
so you know, he couldn't figure out this time what it was that caused it. And the first time I went and did the campaign did a couple lives and put some posts up.
Yeah.
Um,
And I wrote
he,
a poem, remember? We
yeah,
wrote a
that's
poem.
right. That's right. He knew exactly what it was, and what was so funny, it was just sort of a harmless interaction between he and another guy. There you go, LinkedIn. And, and so, I don't know if, I kind of have a feeling like there might be a couple people that have it out for him or don't understand who he is. Because if you spent 1 hour or 10 minutes knowing who Kenny was, I mean, he's a safe person. He's a wonderful man. And if he, I mean, me, my language and my sort of grit can be much harsher than Kenny. I'm like, how have I not been kicked off? I mean, so
I think it's
I don't
because
know
we
what it
don't
is.
see Kenny on live LinkedIn. He has to come on one show one day and do some
That's
music.
it. He did a show with Brian Schulman on his birthday. I missed that, so I got to go back and find that.
Oh, right.
I think that's his only live, or maybe there's one other that he did. But yeah,
Anyway, save Kenny, please.
save Kenny.
So do you want to, shall we get started on writing something
Yeah,
or
let's do it.
inviting? Maybe Kenny will play with us as well. That would be cool.
That'd be very
So,
cool.
so I'm going to share my screen because we can play with the wheels and I have all these things. So the
So
idea is to actually, yeah,
what is the wheel you're bringing up? Explain
I'm
that.
going to show it. So the idea is that we want to give ourselves the space of time and music to chill and give ourselves some instructions to write a poem. So the wheel is going to help us select some criteria for writing that poem. Uh, we don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. So I'm going to share the first wheel because I've got three. Okay. Kenny is going to play with us. Excellent. So
I'm going to
let me
add that
share.
other camera so people don't think I'm ignoring them.
Right. So here I'm going to share the screen. There we go. So yeah, I know it's very small, but I was wondering what are some of the topic. Kenny, what topic can I add on this wheel that would be a topic we would be writing about? And Darren, do you have a topic, something we discussed that you want to put on? I already put some topics from recent conversations, things that I've had a couple of phone calls. So what came from that?
Um,
No, not yet. It won't spin yet. I will make it spin. You don't make it spin, Kenny. I will do that. Sorry.
Let me think here. Any word?
Yeah,
Or are you
just
looking
a
for an
topic.
actual topic?
Yeah, or any word if you like.
How about intuition?
Intuition. All right. Any, just
Is that
anything
music too
else?
loud?
It's okay now. Okay. So in other words, I will say it won't spin because that was Kelly's word. Okay, so let's spin the wheel and see what happens. And there's an empty one, so we can also. Ooh, the topic is
Invisible.
invisible. Ooh,
Hmm.
okay. Too late, Kenny. So I've got another wheel, well, which is more like some techniques that we could use. So we'll see. I'll explain the technique once we have the winner. Ah,
Incognito. That's a good word, Kenny.
yeah, it is. So here it's abstract versus specific. So it's going from like the big words like maybe love or dream or nature, and then we will contrast that with something like a spider or the leg of a spider. So to go from the very specific to the very big, from the abstract to the concrete.
Mm.
So that was the, and then okay, here it's in which words yeah. And so yeah, that's very loud. And then it's we.
The
So
music is
we
loud?
as no, the wheel of luck, he said
Oh,
it's loud.
not to me. I think it was just loud in your head.
Yes, maybe yes, that's possible. So anyway, it's we. So in the poem we speak about we, but I'm going to go instructs. This
Kenny,
is a
nobody likes hairy legs on spiders, just for the record.
yeah, exactly. That's what that's the idea. But that's section one, right? So the topic is still invisible, but let's do two other sections. So in section two, when we spin this wheel, ooh, it's. So in the first section, we speak in we, and in the second section, we speak in it.
Oh,
So
I
it
see.
should be interesting. So let's see what sort of technique we can use in that one. Oh,
I,
yeah.
I think I'm going to need a run through again of the rules.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I'll put it on the chat as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's it and we make it rhyme.
The
That's
whole thing?
well, that section in particular,
Hmm.
right? Okay. So do you want a third section or yeah, let's do a third section. We
You're the
can
boss.
always break the rules, right? So a
Yep.
third section. And it's still on the topic of invisible.
You know I might not follow the rules. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say normally is if you tend to be a stickler for the rules, you need to break at least one. And if you tend not to follow the rules, you have to at least keep one,
Mm.
right? So an oxymoron is like a contrast, like I say, dark snow,
Hmm.
or what else could it be? Cruel love or tough love would be, you just put two opposites together. Voila. So now we need to go to the previous wheel. And it's there. Okay. So that's interesting. So let me see. I will stop sharing the screen and then I'll put in the, well, first section anyway. topic is invisible. Technique is abstract versus concrete or specific, like Kenny's hairy legs and spiders. And we speak in we. That's the first part of the poem. So I will say one topic, invisible. I will just let's see. Okay, so we have to learn some stuff, like, and then we have part 2 is still invisible as a topic. It's it and it must rhyme.
How's that volume?
That's okay because I'll stop speaking soon. So
No, I was just keeping it low.
okay,
Just sort of background stuff.
this is perfect. And part 3, it's still invisible. It's oxymoron. If you need, you can find it in the dictionary, and it's they. All right. Okay. So basically, I'm now going to, and you too, if you want, Darren, and Kenny is already busy writing, I think. So the idea is to write a first section. I'm going to give ourselves like 7 minutes, and then for the first section, and you can play music in the meantime, and people can play, or they can listen, or they can chill, or they can do whatever they want. And in 5 minutes we come back, and then we go to the second session or something like that. I have no idea. We'll just see how it goes.
Sounds good. That's why I put on the record because
Yeah,
I
perfect.
wanted to actually write, not run around back and forth. So
Yeah.
um, I'll be trying
So
to type. So um, I guess, yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah. The question would be, I mean, I would normally I move around between, if it's a long poem, I will write it, I will prefer to write it on the computer, or if it's short,
mm-hmm.
on paper, or on my Evernote app. So that depends a little bit, but of course you can only use one hand at the moment, right? So
Yeah.
so you can,
I'll do. Yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll sling it to you if we need to post it or anything.
yeah. Okay. Okay, this is
Is that more of a musical volume, Dorothy?
yeah, that's fine.
La vejona se ha muerto, no pudo ver a la penca, le faltaba su mitad, por eso se cayó muerta. Tanto mata la maricona, por la cruz y la corona, que ha muerto la pericona. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. El conde ha muerto, no pudo ver a la venga. La pericona se ha muerto, no pudo ver a la venga, le faltaba.
This is much harder
It's not easy, huh?
than the other. Yeah, I'm having trouble just starting.
Well, if you use like the Japanese style structure, you have, you remember one word, 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, and then the conclusion in one word. So the one word could already be invisible, and then you don't worry about the techniques, you know. Or you could look at what does invisible remind you of? What would it mean in a very specific context or in a very large context? but it's not easy.
My gears are turning. I think I got
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Jessica is here.
Hey,
Excellent.
Jessica.
Hey. So Jessica, we are listening to music and writing poetry. So the first section of the poetry is the topic is for everything is invisible, and then we have let me see. We speak in terms of we, and we use abstract versus specific words, like nature versus the hairy legs of the spider, for instance. So if you want to join us, we are just goofing around, trying to figure out what to say, what to write.
Nadie escucha, hermano con hermano preguntaban, es justo lo pedido y es tan poco. Tendremos que perder las esperanzas. Así con el amor y el sufrimiento se fueron aunando voluntades. En un solo lugar comprenderían, había que bajar al puerto grande. Vamos, mujer, partamos a la ciudad, todo será distinto, no hay que dudar, no hay que dudar, confía, ya vas a ver, porque ni que todos van a entender. Toma, mujer, mi manta te abrigará, ponte al niñito en brazos, no llorará, no llorará, confía, va a sonreír, le cantarás un canto, se va a dormir. ¿Qué es lo que pasa? Dime, no calles más. Largo camino tienes que recorrer, atravesando cerros. Vamos mujer, confía que hay que llegar. En la ciudad podemos ver todo el mar.
Hard.
Yeah. Well, the times I've done this before, we've spent an entire hour where you're sharing and we're warming into the process. And the difference here is you're telling me to pick up my ukulele because
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do. And I'm like, well, I know how to write, but I don't know how to get my thoughts in this way.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying a bit of the pressure because I know what comes out of that is like, I enjoy that kind of thing anyways. But yeah, it's
So
a
would you,
process.
yeah, would you be interested to discuss the topic of invisible?
Yeah. I mean, I'm already started writing,
Okay.
but I'm very much stuck on my first, I guess, stanza. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, I don't care, line or paragraphs or stanza or.
I think this, the way it was for me, just too many ideas of the rules, and then before, what happened is you would give me the rules, and that would get me started, and then I would just kind of throw them away, and so I didn't quite get there. But if we're talking about invisible,
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you I like to be invisible. Oh, that music's probably loud, eh? And no, let's turn
It
it
works.
All right. Well, that's even louder.
Yeah, that's louder.
I don't. It's funny, even being on a live like this. I've never done anything like this because I enjoy the attention. I actually enjoy the connectivity of it. So that people online a lot of times think they know me, and I mean, you actually do know me, Dorothy, and it's like it's far different than what anybody sees because I don't put a lot out there. So yeah, I started with the idea of wanting to be invisible, but then I thought as I was getting into the idea of it's flowing and this is longer poem and it's three pieces, how could I resolve that idea? Because I don't think anybody wants to be invisible. We all want to be known, right? Because like once you're known, and it doesn't have to be every person, but you definitely, everyone wants to be known and heard by people,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you know,
Well, yeah, indeed.
yeah, that's true. That is true,
But
Jesse.
you see, my question is, does it have to be resolved, right?
Oh no.
Because I know when we write a song, we kind of have the way that the scale is going and the notes we pick to come to a moment where we feel home, right? But for some people, at some stage in their life, being invisible is their home. So you
Mm.
don't necessarily have to resolve the question of invisibility or wanting to be visible, because yeah, there might be
Mm.
stages in which it's good to be invisible, right? So
Oh
whether
yeah.
it feels great, whether it's necessary, or maybe we something needs to happen before it becomes a next stage in our life or something. So I think, I mean, the same, what I'm feeling now is I really want to have a poem. Like, this is kind of the pressure I'm having, and it's okay because I'm writing stuff. But, and I'm happy to say it doesn't work out, or I don't have the poem and so on. But there's that idea to have an objective and to have an outcome that may be in the way of actually achieving something. And I find that a lot of people want to have, they won't start, or we won't start, I won't start if I'm not sure about the outcome.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have to be resolved.
Yeah, interesting. I think what I did is took yours and added another even bigger complexity to it, because resolving from the beginning is always difficult instead of allowing it to just kind of flow, which is the way I think why the workshops had worked in the past, because I think we got into the flow, and it wasn't like, hey, we're going to be, you didn't say at the end, we're all going to read these and you're going to send it in or anything like that. But, you know, that was, the end result. And every time focusing not on what the end result was very helpful. So
Yeah, yeah,
I like that idea.
yeah, yeah. Like now, I'm also looking at the end result, but basically, I really should be more curious about the topic of invisibility.
Hmm.
To whom are you asking these questions?
I think yours are full of probably notes, and I have, 8 terabytes of sound files and
Yeah.
different things I'm doing.
Actually, I don't have that many notes, whether it's, electronic or papers,
Mm.
of words that have not been turned into poems or songs. Um, I have some. I used to have this box where I had all kinds of scraps of small pieces of poems or ideas or stuff like that. So it was a big box, and I was carrying that with me everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I mean, from house to house. And at some point, I just went through it and I threw away all the things where there was no energy anymore.
Mm.
And I kept a couple and I turned them into poems, I think, or maybe I forgot about them. And I wasn't carrying that, box of bits and pieces, because not every idea is worthwhile pursuing, right? So
Definitely.
it's and that's hard for artists, is to say, okay, that was an idea, but I'm letting it go because it doesn't have the energy or the trigger to write it.
Hmm. Do you go back and forth with, maybe you really like an idea and then you shelf it, but because you can't get finished,
Yeah,
and a year later you're back at it, or 6 months later?
yeah,
Mm.
that happens. Yeah. Or sometimes I feel like the poem is not quite finished, and then later on it turns out that it was finished. It's just, it wasn't resolved maybe, or something like that. But yeah, I do have some poems I go back to, and I turn them into songs, or maybe I learn a new technique and then I apply that technique to the poem, and then either it works or it doesn't work. Most of the time, though, well, in the editing process, you have different levels as well. You can have like if you edit for to publish on your website or to publish on a book in a book, or simply to share with people, it's quite different. So you might go back and review a poem, but normally I tend to, like Jessica says, I should be writing down my ideas more often, and I try to really as to not let it pass that moment, and to seize it, and to go as far as I can in that moment, in that writing. And
Mm.
then I will go back to it, but very quickly. And then I will let it sit sometimes, and I will read it out loud or share it with people or see how it resonates, and then that might finalize my poem. But I don't really like, no. For me, it doesn't work to sort of sit on it for too long.
Hmm.
Sometimes it needs ripening, and then I know from the start there's not enough there, and I'm kind of struggling with it. And I have, there's no flow in there, and I'm waiting for something to happen or something to learn. But that I've developed as an intuition, I guess, as I was doing it over the years.
I used to be very much that way too, where no idea could go away, like because it would be gone, And I think for me that became a habitual thing because of my brain damage, and like, oh no, I'll never get this back.
Mm,
And this last, I'd say 6 months, I've been studying creatives, people that are creative. I, whether the world calls them a success or not, there's specific people that I see what they're doing or what they've done, and I'm like, that's encouraging, and that's what I want. And I've heard half of those people or more say the same thing. They're always willing to shelf an idea, but one of the concepts that I've been trying, especially with my arm in this way, is, well, I physically can't write with my right hand, and my left hand, it would take me so long to make a note, it isn't worth it. Um, and I don't like the habit of taking my phone out to take a note and touching my phone every 30 minutes or an hour. I try to limit that. I think that's an unhealthy habit for the world, but it's an unhealthy habit for me. And so I try to come back to it. But what that means is all the tools I'm used to retain ideas and creativity are not what they look like. I wouldn't say they're gone. They're just
yeah.
like, I can't get them. And so with this guy, and actually there was a guy and a woman, I'll have to go back and see if I can find their interviews. One
Yes.
one is a movie producer, writer, writes a lot of scripts, and the other one is a musician. And both were saying, oh, there's a third one he has a Procreate class on YouTube where he's teaching people how to draw with an iPad and an iPencil, basically. But the idea of, you hear a lot, especially coming out of 2020, people getting the concept of flow and allowing things to wash by, or like not trying to hold on to all your ideas. And that's more for like culture and money. And I never thought about it as like the little pieces of ideas I thought were fun, but I've been actively trying to just not snag all of them. But I've been spending 3 times the amount of time meditating. And
Mm,
I would say, so some people, their definition of meditation is different. I do spend time quietly, and then I do spend time in prayer, and then I return to the quiet. And then after that, I'll spend a good 20 or 30 minutes visualizing whatever it is I'm wanting. So what I've been doing lately is taking a tour of what I'm standing in. So
yeah.
all of this became you
Yeah.
know, and you saw it kind of happen, and it took me a
Yeah.
while, one-handed, but it's here. And so now this is over. Now I'm on to the next thing. What's the next thing look like? But as I go and I research and you hear an interesting idea and you're like, oh, it's gone, you know. But the one thing I know about music is when I listen to catalogs of music, um, I can go back and pick up a vinyl record and put the needle back on side two of a record I've heard twice or once, because of I think it's the inspiration. I don't think it's, oh, I have to get this one thing.
Right.
And so I've been trying to have a more peaceful idea about my desire to retain my ideas and carrying those through. And that's why I was asking if you finished your poems always, because um, I guess I'm a person that likes to put a bow on things and walk away. But what
Yeah.
that causes is a rush sometimes. And when I'm in a hurry, nobody gets from me what
Yeah.
they want. There's no value in anything I do in speeding around. Um,
And
no quality.
I think there's a difference in terms of like if you have allowed things to ripen in you, like I do daydreaming, or I walk or I hear something and that triggers me. So I might
Mm-hmm.
not write something about it right away, because it just sort of needs to have to go through a process of connecting with other information, or experiencing maybe something, or listening to someone who has a particular experience of this, and so on. And so at some point that will come to maturity, or to some maturity, and then there is an idea, and then I seize that and I can go to the end of it. But it doesn't mean, the act of writing can be very short, but all of the preparation beforehand, all of the learning, all of the, the experience you're making, all of the reflecting you do, the daydreaming, the walking, the interacting, all of the knowledge you acquire, all this will also flow into your poem. So if
Mm.
you spend, I mean, for me, I guess, but that's my way of working. If I were to write day in, day out, and stay at my desk all of the time, and write about my life after behind the desk, I guess, or what's in my mind, at some point I will feel the need to confront my ideas with others, or to
Mm.
to to be nourished by life, basically by what's happening outside. So there's a process in that, and I think we tend to want to rush that process of maturation, of ripening. But and you have to put seeds into it as well. So if you
Mm.
never encounter anything, if you never experience, if you never listen to people, if you never, even watching TV, it gets you great ideas as well. So um, it's about kind of the intention of that, and the trust as well that something will show up when it needs to show up.
Hmm.
Right.
I believe in that sort of trust and faith, and like things just do show up, especially inspiration. For me, it's like if you're chasing it, it's really hard to find. If you allow it, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's just hard to continue to allow it when you have ideas of accomplishing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
It's yeah.
we're used to that, high
Yeah.
achieving or getting things done.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's fair to our person, because we need to play with some of these things and have the joy of the moment of the idea, you know?
Exactly. And there is a time for the chasing. There's a
Mm.
time for editing. There's a time for being very critical of what you've written, or but not in the process of creation. So there's different stages as well, and that's something that we often forget. Is we mm, we want it instantaneously, and we want it perfect instantaneously, and to answer to certain codes and criteria. But basically, the goofing around, the playing around, is what brings that process to maturity, and that allows us then to move into a next stage, which is the more like the editing, or the um, finding out maybe it's also part of when you share it on the stage, it's like the rehearsing, that's a different aspect of creativity. So I've got a short poem actually.
I had to check something really quickly because I was kind of thinking I had this appointment, but I'm thinking it looks like it got canceled here.
Okay.
I just need to get it out of my head because it's sometimes those things I'm trying to listen to you and it's better for me to just say it, look at my phone and be done with it, right? Now I'm over it.
So anyway, I've got a poem for you if you want.
I'd love to hear it.
So I'll just the order. It gives something like this, right? That's kind of what I've done. So I have to follow invisible ants milling around life, 1 millisecond at a time. We see her and we laugh, unaware that what we laugh at, mouth wide open, a glitter of white from the teeth, is a mirror to our milling around.
Can you read that again? Please.
Invisible ants, like the small animal, invisible ants milling around life, 1 millisecond at a time. We see her and we laugh, unaware that what we laugh at, mouth wide open, a glitter of white from the teeth, is a mirror to our milling around.
Very cool. I wish I could whip out cartoons, Dorothy, because with all your poems, I feel like they should be illustrated. It'd be so cool.
So I'm just putting it in the chat if I manage to do that properly. Yeah. Okay, I'll just do it this way.
So I only got 2 lines down.
Yes, go for it.
Invisible, up in the tree, watching it ripple by us, a mist above. And where I was going with that was the idea of
but that can come in second part of the next part of the poetry. No, sorry,
definitely. I just can't write it while we're talking, so I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. Because when you said this, most people don't see bald eagles and these huge birds all around me. I've seen 3 today. One of them dropped a hawk for me.
Wow.
So, these things, those things are invisible unless you pay attention. And so I love that idea of looking down at all the people, and people think that they're insignificant, but they are very not insignificant, So that's where I was going with, where the enjoyment of invisibility, but then the importance of discovery, I guess, is kind of what I wanted it to resolve as. But I think I'll go back into and play more with the idea of birds, and for those that don't know, I guess entirely, I am a bit of a bird and fan fanatic. You can see there's some wings above me. That was killed by a predator here. And for anybody concerned, I am a Wewakam First Nations tribal member, and legally I can have and process migratory and large predatory birds for ceremonial and tribal use. And I'm an Aboriginal artist, and so that's what the feathers and the birds. And so most people wouldn't like to see a hawk falling from an eagle's claw in the morning and see that as, what is this? But that was a blessing for me. And who knows, See, the thing when I get these gifts and I make them like that, those are just wings sitting above a drum here. Like that's it. I don't know who's going to get those wings. I never feel like they're mine, because they come in a gift and then they leave as a gift. And so I don't know what the hawk is about today, but there's another person that probably needs that as a reminder that things show up when you need them to, and there's
Yeah.
a greater good happening, and there's beauty all around us, and that's what the birds speak to me, and so
Wow.
I think I'll dip back into that. I'm going to spend some
Yeah.
time in that
Yeah.
today. Most of the time, I've left our poetry workshops and I've only gone back to work on the poems that I've worked on. But I think since then, I've had a couple more that I've just sort of played with. And like Jessica was saying about getting in the habit of writing them down, there was a couple I didn't write down and I kind of faintly remember. And then I realized sometimes it's just playfulness and it's just enjoyment. And
Yeah.
it's not meant for me to give every person. And like the bald eagles I saw today, I didn't video or take pictures, which is hard for me because I'm a photographer and a videographer and I love that thing. But sometimes if you're not present, you miss every piece of it, you know? And so the poetry stuff has been definitely something that keeps coming up in my life when we aren't talking. It's playing into the music and it's allowing me to look for metaphor, oxymoron, like all those things you're saying, things that I've written, like rap lyrics for. I know what they are, but I didn't realize, oh, that's what that is. That's an abstract or that's this. But that, if you understand that, it can be helpful in drafting a bigger sort of symphony, I guess, right? If you were
Yeah.
to create one song, but that's not the whole album, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are you working on this week for enjoyment for you only?
Ooh, well, as you know, I'm a volleyball player, so I had a really great training practice with my team, and it's a great joy to be with that team because it feels like it's a fairly new team. So I mean, some people are a bit older, but have been with the team longer. But finally, it feels like a lot of the stuff we've been starting to put into that team is coming to fruition. We have a great atmosphere. We won the last game, so that's pretty
Nice.
cool.
What was the
And
score?
3-0, so it was pretty hard
Woo!
score for the other team, and
Someone
we
had a
had
bad
to,
weekend.
yeah, not us this time. And it's wonderful to see, just the fact of communicating or of spending some time together, because we train twice a week and we used to train only once a week, or we would have games and stuff like that, so we would meet only once a week at most. And here we sort of spend more time together. We played at the end of the year. We had a nice fun evening together where we kind of played, but we were in competition with each other, and we had to do silly stuff if we would lose, and all these things. So yeah, that's one of the
Mm.
things I do for my for really for relaxation and pleasure. Yeah,
Is that
and
that's
singing, of course, as well.
singing? Yeah.
Yeah,
The volleyball is seasonal for you?
yeah. It's from usually from mid-September to June. And then, of course, that's the indoor volleyball. And then, if you want, you can also play beach volleyball. Then it's more in the summer. Or
Mm-hmm.
some people play throughout the year. But in Belgium, we tend to play in the summer,
Yeah.
hopefully with some weather.
Do you guys have cold? Is it cold and rainy now, or you have snow? What's
It's
it like
it's
there?
no, well, not much, not snow in Brussels, but it's cold and a little bit humid s- very manageable, but yeah.
We've been
But
having like crazy snowstorms and everything, but I don't know. It sounds like the rest of the world's been having a tougher time with.
so what are you going to put on now?
This is Lenny D. Delightful.
Mhm.
This is sort of my get up and go. It's sort of goofy. And let me see if you can get that lighting.
Yeah.
Delightful. Hi-fi organ solos with a beat.
Ooh.
Look at this swanky character. Ooh, Lenny.
Yeah.
I like your hair.
So where do you
Video.
find these records?
So I got a. This isn't the greatest camera to move, but let me do this so you can see a little quick tour. So I got all of these vinyl records from a guy the day after they pulled my stitches for $40, and he didn't want to sell them individually to someone, so
Right.
I offered to buy his collection and hit it off with the guy. He's actually a picker. Which, goes around and buys out storage units and does stuff like that. But from there, I found a real collector, and so I'll be going there tomorrow. And after
Mhm.
physical therapy, my daughter and I will spend hopefully a couple hours there and find some really good records. A majority of this stuff is for production. So if I played a lot of this, you guys would be really sick of it because they're very similar. A lot of it
Right.
is big band. Here, I'll show you. For instance, this is, well, it doesn't. There you go. Central Symphony Band. This is a
Mm.
college, Central Washington University. So this is a local
Oh,
college here that cut an album,
wow.
and so for hip hop production, and for layering, and when you're using sampling type music, you always want to find a sample no one's ever used before. And believe it or not, there's still millions and millions of records and albums that people have never used. And a
Hmm.
lot of times what I do, so some people don't respect the art of sampling, but a lot of times what I'll do is I put on music and I will sample it in almost the whole song, and then I write to that, and then I dump it. And so I've created a song off the inspiration.
Right.
But then if I like what this guy's doing on the organ, I'll go roll in my giant organ and I'll try to find, okay, this is what he was doing, but what do I want to do? I always want to add a little flavor or my own thing to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so my favorite kind of vinyl is, the Motown, soul,
Yeah.
R&B genre, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like funk, some disco. I tend to like not as much stuff like ABBA type disco. Um, but there's some other artists that are on the more soul side. And so
Yeah.
my hope is to get more of those albums in, because I can't quite play I can't improvise on these in a way that the world is going to go, why is he playing over band music,
Right.
And so the other ones is a lot easier for me to do, or I will start with that and then utilize, oh, you can see I've left the camera on this machine, right? And
Yeah.
go layer and layer over that. I keep forgetting to pull that down.
That's very cool.
Do you have any records you would like to see played?
That you have?
No?
Ah,
that
that
I
I
should
have.
have, or that I
You should
should
have.
have. I'll find.
Well, all of the Belgian beat techno kind of things, electro. There's quite a good number of great bands. I don't know them, but I listen to them in the car because that's some of the music that my husband is listening to. But there's some really cool stuff there.
Mm,
Um, kind of electro. Yeah, I'm really bad at categories and stuff. So, but the yeah, I love jazz and blues and I or baroque music as well. So classic
mm,
music as well, and but I also like some rap and hip hop. I'm not a connoisseur of music, so anything that has a nice beat to it that I can sort of relax beat to it that I can dance to it, I like. Or
hmm.
anything that sort of transport me to another world, I like. Or well, classic music, I've listened to a lot of it when I was young, I guess. So heard it a lot. So and that's what I'm learning to sing, and so that's also very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love some French songs, and so anything can be good for me actually. Um, but I don't know anything.
I'll have you help me maybe translate a couple of the other songs on this album. I think I played you it last year,
Yeah,
where it has Serge Gainsbourg. Did I
yeah.
say? Is that how you say his name?
Serge Gainsbourg. Yeah, pretty good.
Serge Gainsbourg.
Serge.
Sarge. Ah, Sarge Gainsbourg.
Yeah.
That's I've been practicing my likwala, which is much more difficult because when I practice that, I realize I have a hard time with R's in other languages. So we're in a almost predominantly Spanish speaking town where I live, and so I notice I sound like I'm like, what am I doing with this thing? And
It's like the pirates. It sounds like.
exactly,
Who's there?
Thomas is talking to me. He's saying, "Are you on the phone?" No, nope. I gotta. He and I are going to an appointment in like 20 minutes, so
Okay.
we'll need to wrap in like 10.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
but on this album is another artist called Carvelli. Now these are all from the 70s, probably, or yeah, mostly Carvelli, and it's Lestrange is Dr. Doctor
Oui, l'étrange docteur
Person.
personne.
See if that-
Euh, L'étrange docteur personne, oui.
Yeah, and
Les,
then I think is the top. Those aren't French. It's just the back, the
euh,
bottom. Those top two, and then the fourth song.
Requiem pour un con
Yeah,
is the Serge Gainsbourg one, yeah.
I can't stop listening to that song. So, for instance, that sort of song is exactly what I mean, where I'll play it and I'll get a vibe and then I'll put it on a loop. And I think that would drive people crazy because it would just be, that entrance beat and other things. And
Yeah.
so, but anyway, I'll work out the sound stuff and we'll play with some of those things, as we go. But I'd love to know what these people are saying. I listen to a lot of music from all over the world, and I never know, especially Indian music. Like I never have a clue what that is. They're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
not Native American, but
Yeah.
from India.
Well, you can sort of search for the lyrics in French, and then often you have a translation, or you ask Google Translate, huh? And you'll have. I mean, lyrics is a little bit more difficult to quite of translate, but you can have a sense. And of course, I'm happy to help you translate. But I mean, if
Well,
you are
like
in a hurry,
for that one, pour un con, you said was really sort of like a dig at the person, and if you read the words, it didn't translate right. It was sort of an
I,
fu to the guy.
yeah, yeah. Ancon is like an asshole.
Yeah,
Am I allowed to say this type of things on the
yeah.
on live? Yeah, apparently.
Here's the
Am I
trick.
going to get banned? Yes.
They've got to be an hour 9 in with us. Ain't no way.
So Darren, I really want to listen to your beginning of the poem, to your lines of the poem again.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Invisible, up in the tree. Oh, let me turn this down. Invisible, up in the tree. Or, sorry, invisible, up in the tree, watching it ripple by. Us, a mist above.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the mist part was funny because that's like everything is misty out here. We're in this fog. It's been a whole week we've been in this fog. Like physically, you walk out and it feels like droplets. And I've never felt that way. Must be what the San Francisco folks feel like, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but it's sort of, I don't know. It feels a little bit eerie because it's all the time, and you can never really
Mhm.
tell what time of day it is, and so the idea of mist is sort of magical to me, I guess. You know, um, it could be like the Blob, like the old horror
Yeah.
movie, or it can be an essence
Yeah.
of healing in your mind. Um,
Or something that separates something from something else.
yeah.
You like the eagle from the humans underneath it or something.
Well, you know what happens when the snow comes out and then it gets solid cloudy for days and days. I mean, that is the time to get in the car because that is predatory time. There's
Right.
eagles and hawks and falcons all over here. Um, and I mean, I don't enjoy watching them feed on other animals or other birds, but it's a part of nature. And it's just, I mean, we saw one eagle this morning. Its wingspan was way bigger than our car. You know, you're just like, whoa,
Wow.
it just takes your breath away. So, um, it's the mist keeps it must do something to the environment because we've have a lot of predator or migratory birds through here, and they must just stay still because you go out and you see them just getting, ducks getting eaten by the other ones. Hang on, buddy. Let me mute this. I'm going to mute this for a second.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to continue speaking for some. You back? I could, yeah. I think Darren's start of a poem is actually really cool, and it's kind of the contrary to what I was doing because he's starting from what he was saying. He's starting from the eagles looking down, and the humans realizing that they are not invisible, and then I was looking at the ants, the invisible ants, and actually kind of looking up and saying that humans are not as big as they think they are. So that's
Oops.
pretty cool. We did just the opposite in terms of poetry.
Sorry,
That
that got
was
my
cool.
mousing around again with my left hand.
No worries.
Thank you for your
Yeah, you
patience
have
and for
to.
taking
Yeah.
over.
So you kind of have to go soon, I guess. I love the beginning of your poem. I hope you continue to write and share here, or we continue to to include the birds as you were saying, and realizing that you are visible, invisible would be really cool.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, and I will. I think I will also play with the two other sections that we kind of played with, and to write on that. But it was too much fun to talk.
Definitely. Definitely. I will work on this today. I think at this point, I'll probably let go of the rest of the rules, and
Yeah.
maybe I'll try to rhyme the center or something like that. But I'm just going to call it the center and just make it sort of even just talking through it 2-3 times with you. I'm like, oh, now I know where to go.
Mm.
I just need to sit in it, and maybe for me, this isn't the best
Context.
context because although I am relaxed and I might appear relaxed, my guard isn't down. Like I'm, for those that don't know me really well, like I can speak to 1,000 people in a room, and then as soon as I turn around and speak to my wife and my children or people close to me, I stutter like I have Tourette's disorder, foul language, crazy things, and so you know, sometimes holding it together and creating, they just don't work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the music stuff, although the keyboard, I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't intimidate me. I don't care to misstep with music. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Mm-hmm.
clanging around. So,
And
um,
that's the other way. I was, for me, it would be scary to sort of play around with the music because I wouldn't know what
yeah,
I'm doing. Yeah.
totally. So maybe we just continue this, and next time you bring a shaker, and the whole time I'm gonna be like, you keep the beat. I'm just gonna sit back.
Oh my God. Well, we have to choose. I guess the context is important, the timing is important, but also to sort of see how much you want to stretch yourself, right? Or if you
Yeah.
want to use the techniques that you know the best.
Well, certainly the pressure helped me get it in my head and work through it. And then now I think anytime I get in a jam these days, and like with the tech, especially with tech, and I'm spend 2-3 hours at it, and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? I always just walk away.
Yeah,
And when I come back at it, usually I'm like, oh, I just didn't click this one thing. And so that's probably what I need
yeah,
to do with the poem, is give it a
yeah,
space and
yeah,
not really any pressure, and
yeah,
see what happens.
yeah. It's you have to kind of bite into it so that it's you have put enough energy into it so that when you come back, then there's something. If you sort of try but let it go right away, that doesn't, then there's not the commitment is not strong enough or the investment is
Mm,
not strong enough. But if you kind of have around it, you have tried some things and it doesn't work, and you've tried and tried, and then you leave it and you come back, then it flows.
yeah.
Yeah, that has been my experience as well. So
I
I
think I
will,
should go.
yeah.
Everybody's knocking on my door.
It's time to go. All right, it was fun. We were goofing around.
Great time. And I'm going to continue to do this, probably daily until I work the bugs out. I think showing up and just getting your elbows and knees banged up for me is the only way through stuff. So for those that don't understand all this, that's all right. Maybe you never will. And for those that are going to go back and watch this, we appreciate you hanging with us. We're definitely looking to connect with the um, softer community, the loving community, or people that need to be fed by the arts, and
Yeah,
and tap into their own goodness and creativity. So
thanks. Yeah, and
yeah,
goofiness.
and goofiness. Yeah, thank you, Dorothy, for hanging this song with me today. And yeah, this is so much fun. Thanks to the community for making this possible, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.